Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubae here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and today I wanted to talk about a game that I've definitely bashed here on the channel, alright? But I'm going to be talking about it in a positive way, because they've somehow managed to turn around one of the worst launches of all time into a pretty profitable game, and a game that I feel like the fans aren't as angry at anymore. And that's Cyberpunk 2077. They've really done a turnaround. When that game first came out, it was a dumpster fire. I feel like dumpster fire might actually be too nice of a word for it. But apparently, things are starting to look pretty good. Cyberpunk 2077 gave CD Projekt Red its best quarter in company history. So it's making them money at the very least. I'm sure there's still some people that are angry about the release. I will say most game companies that have a bad release just abandon it. So the fact that they didn't just say, oh well, on to the next, you have to give them a little bit of credit, which is not saying much about the current state of the gaming industry, but you guys know I'm right about that. Most companies would have been like, oh, the launch went bad? Oh well, toss it in the garbage. And even then, the best quarter in their history, this isn't some like tiny little game production studio. They made the Witcher series, like The Witcher 3, people still talk about being a great game. So the fact that this is just now their most profitable quarter because of the game that originally released horribly, pretty solid turnaround, pretty solid, gotta give them credit. CD Projekt Red released its consolidated financial report for the third quarter of the year, revealing that it has recently concluded the best quarter in its history, primarily thanks to Cyberpunk 2077. The Warsaw, Poland-based developer generated the equivalent of $54.3 million in revenue over the 3-month period, ending September 30th, and its profits amounted to 40% of that, and it ended the quarter approximately $21.85 million in the green. $21 million in profit in 3 months is definitely nothing that I would complain about. You know, if they want to give anyone some of that money, I'm more than happy to help out. Seriously though, if you would have told me when this game first released that they would have turned it around and had their most profitable quarter primarily because of that game, I think most people would have probably been like, I don't know, I feel like that's a long shot. The only thing that makes me kind of nervous about this is like companies are going to use this to justify them having a broken launch now. Well, hey, CD Projekt Red did it with Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, but they also made The Witcher, and like they're a very talented studio. EA Sports is not known for fixing games after they release it. And plus, we all can agree that the game should have come out the way that it should have been playing now, or it is playing now, excuse me. Like, you shouldn't have to wait almost 8 months for the game that you paid for to get to the point where you paid for it, or what you expected to get when you paid for it. I think CD Projekt Red does deserve credit because they've stuck to the game. I feel like a lot of developers have had success sticking to it. Like, No Man's Sky has kind of a cult following now. But yeah, a lot of these companies just release a broken game and then don't do anything with it. And unfortunately, I feel like this turning into a profitable game is gonna be in like the board meetings of some of the bigger studios. Well, we can release it a little bit earlier, and as long as we fix it, everything will be fine. And then they just won't get to the fixing it part because I feel like CD Projekt Red still actually does care about video games. Don't get it twisted, they are rolling around in piles of money, but they also still do care. The company's latest role-playing game had a highly controversial release in late 2020, largely because the version of the game for the last generation consoles suffered from massive performance issues and bugs, leading to fans asking for refunds en masse. That said, the Cyberpunk 2070, holy cow, what did I just say? Refund debacle now seems like ancient history, as CD Projekt Red spent the last 2 years fixing the game across all platforms on top of putting out free DLC on a fairly regular basis. The studio consequently managed to win back a lot of consumer goodwill, and it's currently highly optimistic about its future projects, citing its record-breaking quarter as a sign of greater things to come. I think them being as talented as they are at making games is what won back a lot of goodwill too, because we can like all remember that launch. It was rough. That was one of the most rough launches of all time, especially because this company did have such a good reputation. When Call of Duty or Battlefield has a broken launch, it's like, yeah, of course, that's what happens. It's what we expect. It's EA, it's Activision. No one expects anything actually great, but when CD Projekt Red releases something, everyone was expecting it at the bare minimum to work the way it's supposed to work. I know that seems like a big ask for some reason with game companies these days, but especially from them, they were just expecting it. Most companies, like I said, abandon it, so I think the fact that they didn't give up on it, them being a talented studio, meant that, like, as long as they didn't give up, it was going to end up being okay. They make bangers, all right? If they can't figure out how to patch a broken game, then there's really no hope for the gaming industry, because if CD Projekt Red couldn't figure out a way to somehow make this game profitable, then who could? And even then, companies still shouldn't be like, oh, whatever, let's release a game, because they haven't made money for 2 years. This game was so hyped, this should have been printing money from day one. The fact that it's taken this long to start breaking records in profitability again, and how much free DLC they've had to release. Imagine if the game would have just released the way that it should have released, like it would have just been working correctly, how much money they could have made from selling the DLC for money, like instead of having to give it away for free to win back all the goodwill. And I'm not even saying that I love having to pay for DLC, like from a customer perspective, free DLC should be the standard, especially in a role-playing game. But man, if all they care about is dollar bills and rushing games out the door to make money, they should realize that finished games do make more money at the end of the day. CD Projekt Red is sitting there like, oh, if we finish the game, it makes so much more money. CD Projekt Red released the massive 1.6 Edgerunners update for Cyberpunk 2077 in early September, which concluded its work on the last-gen versions of the game following months of focused efforts that made for a hectic start to the last quarter. CFO, the very respectable financial man in charge of the company making $21 million a month that I'm not going to try to pronounce because I respect the hustle, said in today's address to investors. While the ongoing influx of content contributed to the game's continued success, he pointed to the recent debut of Cyberpunk Edgerunners Netflix show as the single biggest boost to the game's Q3 2022 sales. The show hit Netflix's top 10 list in 19 countries shortly following its mid-September release, helping the game surpass 20 million in lifetime sales later in the month. I guess that goes to show how much I've been paying attention to the internet. I didn't even realize that they had a Netflix show, so hey, good for them. Apparently they're getting that Hollywood bag too. The second Keanu Reeves was in the trailer, we should have seen that coming. Like, the second that trailer released with Keanu Reeves, somebody in the room at Netflix was like, green light it, green light it, green light, green light, green light. They just greenlight everything these days. All you South Park fans will know exactly what I'm talking about. I just don't really understand why everything has to be made into a video game show, movie, cinematic universe. But hey, if it's gonna mean that the game gets fixed and the people that paid for it get better content, then by all means, keep it rushing. Plus, if game companies can actually make more money off their games in more ways, maybe they can actually stop charging us an arm and a leg to get all the DLC for it. Hey, you gave me $80 for the game, but how about another $200 to actually be able to play the game the way that you can have fun playing it? I really do have to give credit to CD Projekt Red, though, one more time for not just quitting like 99% of game developers would have. In the meantime, the sequel to Cyberpunk 2077 is already in pre-production, together with another Witcher trilogy and a brand new RPG series codenamed Hater. CD Projekt Red revealed last month that the company is also working on remaking The Witcher, the first ever game that just turned 15 last month, or their first ever game. Man, if you think they're printing money now, just wait till the other Witcher trilogy comes in, dude. Like, if this is their most profitable quarter yet with a game that it took them 2 years to fix, imagine what it would be like if they released a new version of their most popular game 3 times on top of a remaster and another Cyberpunk 2077. Ooh, the CFO over there is about to be a very busy man, in a good way, just counting way too much money. He's gonna walk into his office, he's gonna be like, oh, another pallet of cash to count? Goodness, like another one? Why do they keep sending us so much money? Can we stop making successful games? Remember back in the day when we didn't have billions of dollars rolling around? Seriously, every other developer though, if you have a broken release, look to them as proof that you can make a lot of money still if you just stick to it. But if you give up, then it's screwed. Like, think about all the games that have released and died within 2 months. Like that Anthem game that they just gave up on pretty quick. Man, that was a lot of wasted money. Like, even if they ended up getting a diehard 20,000 players, it would still have made a little bit. Like, those people would have probably bought DLCs and whatnot. I don't know. I don't work in gaming production, though. I just talk about stupid stuff on the internet like 3 times a week, so whatever. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to press the like button. Let me know what you guys think of Cyberpunk 2077 in the comments section down below. I'm actually curious to know if any of you guys play it. If you do you like it? Is it getting better? Subscribe, turn on notifications, and yeah, at the end of the day, remember, there's only one rule that matters. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.